Hey folks, with us today, Alexandra, the co-founder of Aivy. Super happy to have you on.
Hi everyone, I'm happy to be here.
Let's start with the most important thing. What is your startup and who is it for?
Yes, so Aivy, we are an HR tech software. And what we do is we create objective hiring processes through making individual strengths visible for everyone out there who doesn't want to just read CVs anymore, because we know that in an ever-changing working world where we can't really tell if someone is the right fit just by looking at their documents that they might provide with their application. We need more information. We need the right information, and that is delivered through psychological aptitude diagnostics, which we have gamified so that it's cool and fun, but also more valid, and that companies can not only see their applicants or employees' strengths, but can also see the fit to the individual requirements for their positions that they might want to fill.
So how does that look like? Is it basically like one of those ATS systems like Join and whatever, where you can apply and that's like one step in that? Or is it someone applies through, let's say, join.com and I send them, quote unquote, the quiz? Take us into it.
So we implement a 3-step process that can happen in a pre-hiring phase. You can also use it for active sourcing, or you can use it way later when you already hired people and you want to maybe promote them objectively or put them on another project. And the first step is that we look at the job requirements. So in a very easy process that takes 10 minutes per person, we have them fill out a questionnaire on the job requirements that we can assess. So on dimensions from psychological aptitude diagnostics, that means, for example, personality based on the Big Five. We have an assessment on cultural fit, on cognitive abilities, emotional intelligence, strengths, essentially. And then in the second step, they invite their candidates or employees to play Aivy. And that's the heart of our product, the game-based assessments. One assessment takes about 2 minutes. And in 10 to 30 minutes of a whole battery, you would get to your strength profile. And people who play it, they also see their own results and they get their own strength profile in the end. And then in the third step, we can match the job requirements with the assessment results, and you can see the best fit at first sight.
Got it. And then let's switch gears a bit from the product itself to the company. So tell us a bit about the stage you're at right now, maybe valuation or team size, anything you can share.
So Aivy's been around for more than 4 years now. Our last funding round was closed in August 2022, and it's a pre-seed round. So we are 12 people now, which, we're growing very slowly, sustainably, because I don't believe in hypergrowth. And we rather focus on creating a product that can live without us and have more of an impact than we could ever have as individuals. That's the stage we're in.
And was that a VC round or more of an angel round, that pre-seed round?
Mm-hmm. Still angels. So we are potentially looking for VCs in the future, maybe starting this year, but we're also focusing on breaking even so that we can be stable.
Makes a ton of sense. Yeah, I was asking because I know a lot of people who took early money, basically like pre-seeds from a pre-seed VC, and they're openly saying we're not up after like high growth is basically like a taboo. So I was wondering about that. But then of the team, like what's the split? Like who does what? Like how's the team structured?
We're divided into more or less 3 teams, I would say. So we have the engineers, people who code the software and the app. And then we have the data scientists, diagnostics department who takes care of the psychological aptitude diagnostics part of it all, creating new features, looking at our assessments, developing new ones, etc. And then the rest of us, so business development, marketing, sales, customer success, PR, to keep the business running.
And then is that roughly a 50-50 split of let's say product folks and the go-to-market people, or?
Yeah, I would say so. Our latest hires were in the, I'll go with your term, go-to-market people. So yeah, we're trying to get more speed maybe or maybe not speed, just more workforce, so that we can reach more companies in that department.
Yeah, and then tell us a bit about the strategy. Is it a PLG play where people can do it fully self-serve, or more enterprisey? How do you attack the market?
So it is a B2B software, but because you just heard me pitch it, it's quite a complicated product to understand right off the bat. So still our sales and customer success department, they have to take their time explaining and re-explaining and giving our customers new ideas on how to use our product in several stages of their HR work. But we also work on a self-onboarding software, or we work on making the software as accessible as it can be, and it's already very user-friendly. And we are now aiming to have our first customers that just do the onboarding and everything themselves without having to have too much contact with us. And I can tell you, when that first happens, I'll be so happy. That's going to be a big party for us.
Why did you make the decision to go that route? Because I know most people start self-serve and then go more and more enterprise, and those who start sales-led, let's call it that, usually get more and more into enterprise, meaning literally signing paper before you ever take a look into the product. So why did you make the decision to go up market in terms of the motion? Down market.
I don't know if it was a conscious decision, to be honest. I think it just happened that way because our first customers were big corporates that we just kind of encountered on events, through network, and they also had their, say, expertise that they wanted to see in the product afterwards, and were really involved and still are. So our first customers are still with us to this day. And yeah, I think that it just happened that way. And then to make the product more known, because it's not that well established, or just the whole industry is not that well established in Germany, I would say. We just had to do a lot of work educating and explaining the benefits of it.
If you need to hire the right developers and ship fast, then React Squad is for you. A boutique agency that specializes in React and only works with fast growth startups. Visit reactsquad.io to learn more.
Do you feel like being early in a space is more of a double-edged sword, meaning it's hard in some aspects, but also, you can be one of the vocal, loud leaders in that space still, right? So how do you take advantage of that, or how do you see just the situation of being so early in the market with all their pros and cons?
So the market in itself already has existed for a long time. Just the approach we take on it is new. So because it's a scientific-based product, we had to do a lot of work just convincing people that it's valid, the approach that we take, because people might look at our assessments and they look like they're games, they're game-based assessments, so they don't think that what we do is legit. And therefore it just took some education for the target group that already was familiar with the benefits of overall just using diagnostics in HR.
Makes sense. And then you come from more of the, let's say, the more not education, but like more of the uni background basically into that. So tell us a bit maybe about you as a co-founder, like your founding journey.
Well, happily. I just come back from a girls' day event, so I just told my story this morning. Actually, I am a first-time academic also in my family, and that's also a big deal of why we founded Aivy. That's the case for all of us. And I, towards the end of my master's studies, had a little bit of an identity crisis, so to say, because I had worked in mostly marketing up to that point, and I didn't want to be involved in a space that oftentimes just motivates people to keep consuming on a burning planet. So that was against my value system. And in my master's thesis, I then decided to do research on social sustainability in companies. And therefore, very quickly, we went down the diversity, engagement, and communication route. And sort of through that research, we also encountered or met each other. Our research projects just intertwined so perfectly. And then we started creating the product. And for me, it was next to my master's thesis. So sometimes it still feels like any time a professor could just come into the room and ask us to hand the project in. But it took off, and we were able to do it full time until now. And we have, I would say, very stable position in the market now, which was also marked by a lot of publicity that we had, especially 2 years ago when we were on TV, and also big media coverage, big media outlets that, for example, talked to me, that created a lot of trust in potential customers and a lot of visibility in the market, so that now we have big brands endorsing us, using us, that give us some sort of stability.
I just need to double click on that. How did you end up on TV?
Oh, well, a very classical journey. Was on the German version of Shark Tank, so the Höhle der Löwen. How everyone gets there through a little casting process.
How was your experience? Do you say it's like a full positive or more of a nuanced thing?
Well, if people ask us now if we would do it again, our answer would be yes, definitely, but only because now we know that it went well for us. But there were a lot of points of insecurity along the way where we didn't know how it could go, right? And we couldn't really influence that. But now for us, the overall experience was really positive, and also the effect that it had on our company as a whole. And I think it was less the being on TV and more the algorithms picking us up and gaining followers and visibility that then, led into more people just seeing us on a daily basis, perceiving us, and then also trusting us, and just learning about our mission. And we have so many really passionate people that jumped on it right away. We're like, yeah, this is what we need. I'm convinced of what you're doing, and I want to help. I want to be a part of it. And that's beautiful.
Amazing. But then, startups are full of insecurities, and also like it's not always like a sunny, bright day. So tell us something that you're struggling with right now as a founder.
I think right now nothing comes up. We have done a lot of work throughout the past years, so I'll just take you through that. Me personally, obviously, in the beginning, being a woman in the space that is very predominantly male, being very young as well, and encountering all of the sexism in this space when you pitch to investors or any jury that's also predominantly male, and then not believing that you earn your space. That was a big thing. So I always say that it was some sort of a therapy for me to realize the differences in our upbringings with my co-founder, who is male, to just see that he never had to think about taking up space, or he never really thought about just being assertive, which is something that we're discouraged to be. All of these things, that was in the beginning something that I had to unlearn a lot, and also not to be too much of a perfectionist, because that felt unsafe. But that's, again, something that also relates heavily to female socialization, but maybe more on a company level. Talking about HR, we also, in the beginning, when we started to grow, we also had our hiccups with our first hires, where we didn't really know what to focus on, because we were such a good team already, because we spent so much time together and had to just, because we were founding something, be very open and honest with each other. And then we didn't always realize how it would be like to not be a founder, but to be a first or second and third employee. And obviously we use Aivy, but we had to do some internal work on our culture. So, for example, we do have a cultural fit assessment that looks at the way that you work with each other, and if a person would thrive in that environment or if they wouldn't. And we had to start by putting words to the innate culture. Just had, cultivated, birthed kind of through the way we just came together and the different value systems that we had. So I think that was the first struggle, because then we also had a few bad hires that we had to let go. And I didn't want, or don't want, us to be the hire and fire kind of startup. So we looked at how can we create a process that is also, because we hire people based on their strengths, we also want to look at how can we let them go if their strengths can't really be fulfilled or find a purpose inside of our company. So I think that was quite of a learning journey. And since then, just by being clear on what we value and what we look for, we can formulate that and voice that to potential new hires. And we have been very, very lucky and happy with who we've hired since then.
Love that. And then final question before we wrap up. What's something that you would do totally differently if you had to do it all over? So it gets wiped out and then you need to start over. Like, what's something that you would do differently?
I don't think there's anything, to be honest. I am very into just making mistakes and learning from them. We have a very open failure culture. We talk about our fuck ups and learnings all the time. We love learning together. So I don't really overthink anything anymore. I just do it, and then I look at the result, because sometimes we just have to make decisions. So I think maybe I would have taken up more space earlier. I would have maybe been more comfortable with visibility earlier, because that was a journey for me too, to be in some sort of a spotlight. I mean, it's not a huge one, but to just communicate about the mission and everything that relates to it, and feeling worthy of doing that. I might have just shouted it from the rooftops as soon as I could.
Love that. And then finally, where can people find you and the company online?
Definitely follow us on LinkedIn. You can type in my name and then also Aivy, Aivy. We also have an Instagram account and even a TikTok account, also a Facebook account, but I think mostly Instagram and LinkedIn. And then one of my favorite mediums is the podcast. So just type in my name or Aivy or my colleague's name, my co-founder's name, and you'll find plenty of content there. And I'm also very happy if you want to follow me on LinkedIn, you'll find all of the media that I talked about just now, the interviews on my LinkedIn page, and I'm happy to meet you there.
And we will make sure to link everything up below. Alexandra, thanks a ton for taking the time and coming on.
Thank you so much.
If you like this episode, then you'll love the SaaS Operator, a weekly newsletter brought to you by EarlyNode, with actionable insights from SaaS experts in the industry delivered right to your inbox every Tuesday for free. Visit earlynode.com to subscribe.